Here's a detailed summary of The Real Reason the West is Warmongering Against China from Al Jazeera, 3rd of August 2025. The Real Reason the West is Warmongering Against China. Al Jazeera Opinions, 3rd of August 2025, by Jason Hickel and Dylan Sullivan. Overview. The article argues that Western hostility toward China isn't driven by legitimate security concerns, but is fundamentally motivated by deep-rooted economic interests. As China has grown, it has challenged the economic dominance underpinning Western capitalism, threatening profit margins by increasing wages and breaking technological monopolies. In response, the West has adopted antagonistic rhetoric, sanctions, and military posturing, from cooperation to containment. Over the past 2 decades, U.S. policy shifted from cooperation to confrontation. Media and political discourse in the West now consistently portray China as a growing threat. Simultaneously, Washington has imposed sanctions, trade controls, and increased military deployments near China's borders. Unequal exchange and the global North's dependence on cheap labor. Western prosperity relies on exploiting the global South for cheap labor and resources. China historically supplied this cheap, skilled workforce. But as wages rose, from under $1 in the mid-2000s to over $8 today, China no longer supports the same degree of low-cost production, undermining Western multinational corporation profit structures. China's rising wages disrupt unequal trade dynamics. The dramatic increase in Chinese wages disrupted global supply chains optimized for inequality, reducing Western firms' ability to appropriate surplus value. China now enjoys improved terms of trade, reducing the imbalance that once privileged core economies. Technological independence as a direct challenge. Over the past decade, China has invested heavily in strategic industrial policy, developing capabilities in high-speed rail, commercial aviation, renewables, electric vehicles, chip making, and AI. This threatens Western control over critical technologies and markets, which have long enforced dependency among developing economies. Economic warfare, sanctions, trade wars, and threats. Western governments have launched sanctions intended to undermine China's technological rise. These have largely failed, prompting more aggressive tactics, attempts to suppress China's high-tech sectors and wage pressure, aiming to reinstate a favorable balance for Western capital. Warmongering as the ultimate economic tool. The authors assert that warmongering, military threats, escalation, psychological warfare, is being used as a strategy to destabilize China's economy, redirect investment into defense, and erode confidence in its development model. Importantly, this is not due to actual military threats from China. Debunking the China threat narrative. Despite Western claims of Chinese military aggression, the facts diverge sharply. Military expenditure per capita in China is significantly lower than in the U.S. or other Western-aligned military blocs. China's global military footprint, it has only one overseas base, in Djibouti, whereas the U.S. has hundreds worldwide. China has not initiated conflict abroad in over 4 decades, in stark contrast with recurring Western interventions. China's role as an emerging peer, not a threat. China's achievements in sovereign development and technology break Western monopolies and expand options for countries in the global South. But this progress challenges Western dominance, prompting efforts not to integrate China, but to contain it, sometimes through destabilization or economic coercion. The root cause, a threat to imperial capitalism. The real threat posed by China is economic. By refusing to remain a low-wage periphery and building its own technological base, China exposes the fragility of the global capitalist order. Warmongering is thus framed as a last resort effort to reassert Western economic supremacy and restriction of alternatives for the rest of the world. Conclusion. The West's strategic fear. The overarching thesis is that Western antagonism toward China stems from fear. Fear that China's model of sovereign, technologically capable development undermines centuries of extractive economic dominance. The authors argue that this dynamic explains the substance behind the rhetoric. The West is not responding to Chinese aggression. It is reacting to its own diminishing economic leverage. Why it matters reframes U.S.-China tensions as fundamentally economic, not security-based. Challenges accepted narratives about military threats by focusing on global capitalism's decline. emphasizes how China's rise forces a confrontation over global labor, technology, and economic control. Suggests Western warmongering is ultimately unsustainable once China achieves full sovereign tech independence. A heartfelt light. To every soul whose hand did give, you've helped me dream, helped me live. In darkest hours your light came through, with hearts so kind, so pure, so true. Your gifts, like stars in deepest night, have steered me gently toward the light. Each coin, each word, each silent prayer, a thread of hope, so rich, so rare. My eyes once dimmed, now seek the skies, and slowly, clearer visions rise. Because of you, I dare to see the world again. Its grace, its plea. Your compassion's flame will not just stay with me alone. It lights the way, for others wandering through despair, to feel the warmth of selfless care. You've shown what love in action means, in quiet ways through giving scenes. You've built a bridge from soul to soul, and made the broken feel more whole. So let this thanks rise like a song, a melody both soft and strong. May your example gently call more hearts to rise to give. To fall into the joy of lifting pain, of planting hope where none remains. Your kindness walks beside me still, a light, a love, a living will.
Don't forget to hit that subscribe button to show your support.